What's up, everybody? We are live. Welcome back to the Mindset Mogul podcast. We were just having a conversation right now about monetizing your purpose, and we decided to just hit record before preparing anymore because this is a great conversation and kind of just want to take you guys along for it and hear us have this dialogue of kind of figuring out this whole idea of monetizing your purpose.
Yeah, we ended up having a more important conversation than what I think we were planning on talking about today. The original topic for the podcast was monetizing your purpose, which is definitely a very important topic. And I think we'll still probably touch on that today. But even before you get to the concept of monetizing your purpose, something I don't think enough people talk about is defining what a purpose is and getting very clear on what that actually means. And so where Josh and I left off on the conversation and where we said, let's start recording, is essentially a debate on what do you consider a purpose at like what level of connection to what it is that you're doing, the types of activities you're doing, the level of impact you're having on your own life, but then more importantly, other people's lives. Like, what are the triggers to go from saying something is an interest, a passion, to a purpose? And what are the different aspects of that you need to be cognizant of to say that this is a purpose and this is something that I should be pursuing? I think the motherhood example was an extremely good one to start with because I think it's a little bit polarizing, and I think it also paints an important picture. Like, if somebody is, to bring the audience up to speed, if somebody feels that their passion and their purpose is to be a mother, does that constitute a purpose in the sense of that is the thing that you were brought into this world to do, and it's it's the biggest way in which you can give back to the world? And I think, like, who are we to say that being a mother to your children is not a purpose? Because to me, that sounds like an extremely honorable, noble thing that somebody could pursue. And like loving your children, I think is it's something that brings love and joy into this world. It checks a lot of the boxes of what a purpose should be doing. And you technically are doing it for others. But there's a question around, is like that level of impact, is that level of scope, is it too narrow to just you and your own family, which is really an extension of you, to be considered a purpose? And so we were trying to figure out different ways to think about like what is a purpose, especially when you start to stress test what it is that people connect to most in life. And in certain cases, is it connected to things that it's more focused on them and their super local connections and surroundings? And in this case, we're using motherhood as an example.
Yeah, and I brought up, I was watching a podcast yesterday, Ed Milet and Lewis Howes, and they had a really good definition of success and greatness. And to use this motherhood example, success would be you becoming a great mother, taking care of your family, being the very best that you can be at that specific job, right? Your role as a mother. And you could be incredibly successful at that role. And what they defined greatness as is basically transcending yourself. So success could be you providing for your family, being the best that you can be for your family. And greatness, for example, could be you spreading that motherhood instinct, those tips, tricks, your lessons that you've learned from motherhood, with tons of others soon to be and recent mothers, and helping them with their own motherhood. And that would be greatness, because all of a sudden now you're taking what you are really good at, what you're really successful at, which is being a mother, raising your kids, turning them into great people. Now you are all of a sudden helping a bunch of other people do the exact same thing. And that turns into this web of greatness, because now you're creating a massive impact in the world, more than just your 2 or 3 kids, which again is a completely honorable purpose and thing to do. I just think that distinction between success and greatness that they made on this podcast was very profound. And it made me think a lot about the things in my life. And if I'm trying to be successful in a more selfish way? I don't want to say selfish, but just in a way that just takes care of me, my family? Or am I trying to achieve greatness where I make this massive impact in the world and I affect tons of people? And, it's an interesting concept.
We're on the journey right now to, I think, breaking all of these concepts down in a way that they are hyper applicable to our own lives, and in a way that I think that people that are newer to mindset can really wrap their heads around it. We're at an interesting point in the process where we are like breaking down the walls of understanding ourselves. And now we have the opportunity to share it with others. And I think an important concept that it's revealing itself to me as you and I dive deeper and deeper on these things is there's levels of purpose. And you've got at the foundational level, understanding where your interest and your passion lies, you actually have to hit that success first. That's like the first level of purpose, because you can't move on to greatness until you have success at the thing that you want to be doing. Because ultimately, in that first level of purpose is some form of mastery. You need to become an expert at being a mother. You need to spend the days with your children figuring out how to build them into the best human beings that you possibly can. And that's going to take time and dedication and repetition to build that level of expertise to be the best mother possible. In this example, to be a successful mother in the first place. And so it's not that you necessarily have to choose one or the other. You actually start off. And we use selfishly, not in the sense that like selfish is a bad thing, but it's more just an introspective focus on yourself. You are selfishly going to gather the skills. You're selfishly going to be putting time and effort focused on yourself and those closest to you to build the skills and the repetition necessary to become a successful mother.
Which, by the way, is 100% necessary, as you said, because you cannot achieve greatness without achieving those skills first. You cannot become that person without achieving those skills first. I just want to point that out. It's 100% necessary for you to be selfish in those ways, which, again, is not a bad thing. It's necessary to be selfish in those ways to acquire those skills. By you not being selfish and you not acquiring those skills, you are now letting down all of the people that needed you to acquire those skills.
You use the word transcendence too, as we're talking out loud about this. Like that is the perfect word to describe that move from success into greatness, because you're essentially taking skills like first step mastery. Once you have achieved mastery, you're now in a position to transcend into greatness and be in a position that you can then share those gifts, that gift of knowledge, that gift of mastery with the world. And so I think as from where we're standing right now, it's essentially it's a two-part activity in terms of how you build your purpose. And first you need to build your purpose to a level of success, which I think we define as mastery over that subject. And then it's from there, you have the opportunity to transcend and become great at whatever it is that you want to do. If you find that that purpose is something that persists in your life, to then go share it with others. And I think that's where, in most cases, and everything's on a continuum, so this is not black and this is not white, but it's usually there that you start to put yourself in a position that you can monetize whatever your purpose is. Because at that point, you have built the skills, you are the expert, you intrinsically hold enough value to then go share it with the world in a way that the marketplace could start rewarding you for that. And so that's not a hard and fast rule, but I think it's a good rule of thumb on thinking through monetizing your purpose in the first place.
And I think now that we're starting to transition to talk about monetizing this, it's important to understand that regardless if you are incredibly passionate about something and you know in your heart with 100% certainty that this is your purpose in life, there are still going to be a lot of things that you do not want to do, right? There are going to be, we were talking about this earlier, like if your passion and your purpose on this earth is mountain biking and you love mountain biking through the mountains, through the forest, and it just gives you the most satisfaction out of anything else in life, you lose yourself when you're doing this. that you know this is 100% your purpose and now you want to monetize it. Well, there are a few different ways that you can go about looking at that. Number one, do you have anything else that you're passionate about? Do you like making videos? Do you like teaching people? Do you like any sort of thing that could potentially be paired with this passion? Because if you do, number one, you could become a coach and become a mountain bike coach. You can monetize that way. You could become a mountain bike review channel on YouTube and monetize that way. There's a lot. You could become a professional mountain biker and monetize that way, but there are other things outside of becoming a professional mountain biker that would allow you to monetize your passion. But regardless of which you choose, there are going to be things that you don't want to do. You know, dealing with video editing and things are not fun. Unless that's another passion of yours, it's not fun. You're going to have to deal with it. You know, hiring people or managing a team is not fun, but you may have to do it. You know, dealing with ungrateful clients, if you're a coach, could be a pain, but you're going to have to deal with it. There are certain things, it's very important to understand that no matter what your passion is, there are certain things that you're going to have to deal with that you don't want to deal with. But there are so many different ways to pair your passion with something else that can generate you money. Like I said before, coaching, YouTube reviews, all sorts of things. But it's important to understand that fact that there will always be stuff you don't want to do. I think, Brad, you said like 60-40 rule, which is, if you could expand on that a little bit, that I think is a really important, concept to keep in your mind.
Yeah, I think I stole this from Jeff Bezos, but if you have a purpose in life, you should assume that 60% of your time spent is on things that you love doing that are associated with that purpose. The other 40%, I think the term he used was overhead. These are the administrative activities. These may be building the skills that allow you to monetize your purpose, but don't directly tie with how you want to be spending your time. And so when pursuing a purpose, you should have the expectation, you should have the assumption that going into it, that this is not going to be all fun and games and love and passion. And I think that brings us to another concept that is extremely important when defining what your purpose is making sure you have a strong enough why. And I think the why is, I use this example for different things in terms of building mental frameworks and structures. But if purpose was a house in your mind, the why is the foundation. And it's the most important question to be answering when building your purpose. And so we'll bring it back to motherhood, because I know for a fact people who feel strongly about motherhood are going to have an extremely strong why, and it's building an important life for their children. So I'm assuming anyone that's tackling motherhood as a purpose, they're very set on that, and they know, and they can deal with the hard parts of raising a child, which there are daily and many things that come along with that. But their why is going to be so strong because they love their children. They want to set their children up for the best life possible. Those are very strong whys. And so when you're figuring out what your purpose is, and you're in that 40% admin overhead bucket of developing skills that you aren't necessarily super passionate about, or just spending time dealing with challenges and struggles that aren't riding that mountain bike through the forest, which is your favorite thing to do, you come back to the why. Why am I doing this? And it's so I can live the life that I want to. I can have the autonomy that I want to. I can share this gift with others and bring joy to other people, because I know that this is a purpose and a passion that can spread joy and love. And so if you can bring it back to those things, it gives you the momentum that you need to move through that 40%.
I like what Tom Bilyeu says. He goes, the struggle is guaranteed, the results are not. So choose a why that's strong enough to push you through those times when you're struggling, because the struggle is guaranteed. And to give you a personal example, we were talking about this a little bit, like my whole life before, the last few years, my purpose was to make money. Like that's what I thought.
Which isn't really a purpose.
Which isn't really a purpose.
It's a purpose in disguise.
Exactly. It's a goal. It's not a purpose. And it's a goal that was not the right way to have a goal, right? So it's great to make money. Obviously, you need to take care of your family. It's a good thing to strive to be financially wealthy. You can do a lot more good in the world if you have financial resources than you can't. But it can't be the only reason. Maybe your reason to make money is so that you can start a charity and do all these things to help people. And that is a deeper purpose, but it can't just be make money so I could live a luxurious life. That just is not a strong enough why to keep you going in those times of struggle. And that's what I've found is that in the past, when I would start struggling really badly, I didn't have a big enough why to fall back on. My why was just, oh, I want to make money. So it was easy to say, oh, well, I could just do something else that will make me more money, instead of having something that was actually meaningful, that actually was a mission I was pursuing, that when times got tough, it didn't matter whether the money was coming in or not, because I knew that this was my mission and I was going to continue on it anyways. And one of the things that we were talking about and why we're excited about this podcast is I'm in that process right now. Like, I still have, multiple other businesses that I obviously love and I will be with forever, but I'm figuring out that I have a bigger purpose on this earth. And my purpose is to inspire millions of people and unlock mental freedom for all these people. And that is one of the reasons why we are doing this podcast. And one of the ways that we are working towards eventually monetizing our purpose. We're not going to attempt to monetize for a while, but that is one of the reasons why we're doing this, is because I'm going to speak for myself and I'll let you speak after, but I have found in my own life that I have slowly over the years transitioned more and more to only spending my time on things that are meaningful to what my mission in life is, which is what I just stated to you guys. And that is the transition that you're going to see in me as you watch this podcast over the next 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years.
10 years.
So I'm really excited to, document that, guys, for you. But that's one of the reasons why I feel like why you may resonate with us, because we're in this process right now and you're going to be able to watch us go through this process. So I'll let you talk on that, but that's how I feel.
What you just said, I want to connect back to something we said earlier in the episode. We talked about there's success and then there's greatness. And I feel probably over the last decade for you and I, and it was actually on independent paths for a long time of it. And it was a slow burn and a lot of work over a long time. But where we are at now is essentially at the precipice of personal mastery of mindset. We've gotten ourselves to a point in the lives where we've given ourselves the gift of mental freedom, of daily clarity, of emotional stability, of sustained and regular happiness, just as a function of existing and living. And now that we've given that gift to ourselves, like, I wake up every day pumped up, living with intensity, naturally feeling good, moving my body. Like, these are the best gifts I could have ever given to myself. And I am so grateful I have them. Like, I feel comfortable saying that you and I have found success in personal mastery of mindset. And so it's now, if this is our purpose, which I deeply believe that it is, this is now our opportunity to transcend into greatness, which means live on this podcast, we are building the skills of how do we translate what we've learned and know intrinsically into the most approachable, the most well-packaged, the most well-articulated, well-communicated set of information that we can share with others. And so we're moving from level 1 to level 2 in purpose as we speak on this podcast right now, which I think is pretty cool. And I hope people are excited to take the ride with us, because things have gotten so great for me over the past couple of years. And being able to share that is the purpose right now. And I'm excited to do it.
Dude, there's nothing else that needs to be said. That was perfect. Seriously, I think that was like a really good episode. I think people are going to really like it. Either way, I liked it. So it's a success. What about, let's give the audience, as you guys know, we are the Mindset Mogul podcast, and part of developing an ironclad mindset is taking action. And we like to leave you with something to take action on at the end of every single episode. So Brad, hit them with the exercises for today.
So this is for the segment of the audience that has a certain level of confidence that they know what their purpose is, because I do think there are a lot of people out there that are still asking the question, what is your purpose? And this will be a slight plug for a masterclass, a mini course. I'm not sure what we're calling it yet, but a program that we're putting together to figure out what your purpose is, a tactical guide to figure out what your purpose is. But for those who do know what their purpose is, write down what that current purpose is on a piece of paper. And if you know, it should be something that's very easy to get on paper quickly. Write that down. And assuming you're not at a place yet in your life where you're monetizing that purpose, think back to when Josh was talking about all the different ways that you can monetize that purpose, and do a brainstorm of, if I was going to make money from this, how would I do it? What are the different ways that I could share value with people in a way that I could get them to pay me, and get those things down on paper. And then that'll be exercise number 2. And then exercise number 3, and this is where things get tactical, is what are the skills you need to action on those different things you could do to monetize the purpose. And as a final step to get it extremely tactical for you, write down one action this week you're going to take to learn one of those skills, so that you start the process of connecting your purpose to a situation in which you can monetize it, which really means that you get to spend more time on your purpose, sharing it with others, and developing your mastery even further. Your purpose should be tied to giving values to others. Who gives a shit if it actually makes you money? Except for the fact that money unlocks your ability to spend more time with it. And I think that's what's important about monetizing your purpose. And so I just want to stress that when we talk about monetizing your purpose, we're not connecting back to like the superficial notion of you need to make money or making money is good. It's more that money is an unlock for spending more time with your purpose, which ultimately should leave you with more fulfillment.
That was perfect. And I'm going to say one more thing. If you have no clue what your purpose is, in that we're creating something to help you, but in the meantime, the one question that I would write down is, if you had all the money in the world, how would you spend every day? If you never needed to make another dollar again, how would you spend every single day? And that should help you formulate that answer. So we'll leave you with that. This was awesome. Brad, thank you. Please subscribe, like, review, follow, do whatever the duties are on whatever platform you're listening or watching. We really, really appreciate you. And we will see you in the next one.
See you in the next one.